Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, December 20th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Hamilton, it's 12:30, and in Mexico City, 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. We'll go right to our news. Big news coming out of New York. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the accounting firm Ernst & Young may face civil fraud charges in New York for its alleged role in the demise of Lehman Brothers. The Journal, citing anonymous sources, said in an article this morning that Andrew Cuomo, who is still the Attorney General for just a few more weeks until he's sworn in as governor, may file the lawsuit this week, with the state possibly seeking fines and other penalties. The case alleges that Ernst & Young did not act in the appropriate manner while Lehman misled investors about its financial conditions. Lehman was one of Ernst & Young's biggest clients after the investment banks collapsed in 2008 when the financial crisis intensified. The report says that Ernst & Young made about $100 million in fees from 2001 through 2008 for its auditing work. E&Y could not be reached for comment. The potential lawsuit focuses on Lehman transactions that include repurchase agreements and its alleged attempts to have investors falsely believe it was more financially stable than it really was. The report says that Ernst & Young approved of the transactions and gave the company complete audit opinions from 2001 through 2008. Thinking is that Ernst & Young would try to settle before any lawsuit is filed. Wow. In Dubai, Ace Group can now offer reinsurance products on the Dubai International Financial Center, having been granted a license to operate. The DFSA Category 4 license will allow Ace to offer a full range of property, casualty, accident, and health coverages. Having been given a license, Ace now has formed a new company called Ace Insurance Management DIFC Limited. The new entity will be managed by Mark Quinn. Ace first opened a representative office in Dubai 2 years ago. The new entity in Dubai will share the DIFC office with Sovereign Risk Insurance, Ace's wholly owned political risk insurance subsidiary. Well, we've been talking about CATCO, the fully collateralized Bermuda fund. It floated in London this morning. It pulled in $80 million, largely from Qatari and UK investors, as the first flotation of its kind on the London Stock Exchange. CATCO's Reinsurance Opportunities Fund's exposure will be managed by a Bermuda-based investment company that will also run a larger open-ended fund for private investors. That's targeting about $1 billion in assets. The listing of a similar fund was pulled by Catlin of Lloyd's earlier this summer when they tried to raise 150 million pounds of equity. Some observers said that that was pulled because it was an overcomplicated idea and did not have a natural audience. The CATCO investment manager and the fund are both backed by the Qatar Insurance Company, which invested $25 million in the fund. Cooperative Insurance Society and Henderson Global Investors each invested $16 million in the fund. Bailey Gifford invested $8 million, and JP Morgan Asset Management invested $6.5 million. The company is managed by longtime reinsurance industry veteran Tony Belisle. Markel has made some news. They've hired Edward Winter, not the rock star, Edward Winter, as terrorism underwriter. Winter's most recent position was with Canopius, where he helped develop a terrorism book. He brings 14 years of experience to the role at Markel. Markel will form part of the company's, he will form part of the company's Marine and Aviation War Team, headed by Jason Page. The managing director at Markel, Paul Jank, said that Winter's addition and the knowledge of the terrorism market adds an important line to our overall marine and energy business. The stock market in New York is down about 41 points right now. We'll go to a word from our sponsors.
now, designed for peace.
Well, more winter weather in Europe, and it's not even winter yet, not until tomorrow. Supposedly Heathrow Airport has reopened. This is after blizzards and freezing temperatures across England and Europe shut runways, train tracks, and highways over the weekend. The airport supposedly is operating a limited schedule of arrivals and departures. According to people in the airport, the vast majority of flights from this airport are still canceled. One said, and so far as I can tell, they're not actually accepting any flights at all. We've seen a couple of British Airways flights take off, but it's very, very thin at the moment. Apparently Gatwick Airport, Britain's second busiest, is starting to return to normal. Reuters is saying this morning that operators are admitting at both airports that the chaos is going to stretch into the Christmas week. Britain's roads and railways were hit by the winter weather. Some roads were impassable after drivers abandoned their cars. Ireland is experiencing its worst snow in decades, although Belfast and Dublin's airports remain open. In Italy, the Autostrada of the Sun, the country's main north-south highway, has been jammed with hundreds of cars now for 24 hours. People are sleeping in the cars. The snowfall also forced high-speed Italian trains to bypass the Central Railroad station in Florence. So things are still dicey in Europe. In Mexico, at least 28 people were killed in a disaster that Mexican authorities are blaming on oil thieves. A pipeline exploded. 52 others were injured in a town called San Martin, about 55 miles east of Mexico City. 115 homes were completely destroyed. The Mexican president, Felipe Calderon, said that the explosion was apparently caused by thieves trying to steal crude oil from a pipeline. He said the government would stop at nothing to bring those responsible to justice. The blast in San Martin, Texamucan, initially estimated to have affected 5,000 residents in a 3-mile radius, left metal and pavement twisted, and in some cases burned to ash. Investigators found a hole in the pipeline and equipment for extracting crude. Pemex, the Mexican state-owned oil company, estimates that it loses as much as 10% of its product from theft. Criminals tap remote pipelines, siphoning off hundreds of millions of dollars worth of oil each year. In Britain, anti-terrorism police this morning arrested 12 men in early morning raids in 3 cities to protect the public amid fears of a holiday season terrorist event. The Assistant Police Commissioner John Yates, the lead police officer for counterterrorism, said that the suspects were detained in London, Stoke-on-Trent, and in Cardiff in Wales. The arrest follows several weeks of surveillance, and they're part of the most high-profile anti-terror raids in Britain since April of 2009, when 12 men were detained. In Malaysia, a Malaysian bus carrying Thai tourists hit a road divider and overturned, killing 26 people. Deputy Police Chief of Malaysia's northern Perak state was quoted as saying the driver lost control of the vehicle as it descended from a popular hill resort. The bus carried 37 Thai tourists and was en route to the capital of Kuala Lumpur, where the group was going to fly home. Malaysia has the highest rate of road traffic fatalities in Southeast Asia, with 24 deaths per 100,000 population. That's pretty high. And in Iran, in Tehran right now, groups of policemen have appeared at major intersections in the Iranian capital. This is in apparent anticipation of civil unrest as the Iranian government of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is going ahead making cuts to subsidies. Ahmadinejad said cuts of energy and food subsidies would start beginning yesterday. Under the new system, each automobile would receive only 60 liters of fuel per month at the subsidized price of 40 cents per liter. This is an increase of 400%. Further gasoline purchase would cost 70 cents a liter compared to 40 cents a liter before. In 2007, angry protesters set dozens of filling stations on fire after the system of fuel rationing was implemented. Witnesses in Tehran are saying clusters of riot police are now seen at every major square in the city. There's been no official explanation or report of disorder so far. Western journalists in Tehran are saying that the people are still waiting to see how bad their lives will be affected, so we will wait to see how big the discontent is. Iran, despite being a major oil producer, lacks refinery capacity, and with the export controls from the rest of the world into Iran being further tightened, they can't get fuel back in to operate cars. That's all the news that we have for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.